Everybody, I am Christ, I am disciple. All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first in everything we do. The Most High God comes first. I don't care what your situation is in life. I don't care what your status is in life. If you've done something wrong, ask God forgiveness. Keep moving. Let Him lead you. Let Him guide you. Let Him direct you. I start off with Warren Gunnels from Twitter. The second Bill of Rights. Every American has the right to a job, an adequate wage and decent living, a decent home, medical care, economic protection during sickness, accident, old age, or unemployment, a good education. The problem with this is this has never been passed. FDR's Economic Bill of Rights was supposed to have the 1% give back to society. The whole idea behind it was the American society was being taxed, businesses were being taxed. Then, slowly but surely, the oligarchic class got the government of the federal government to start redacting taxes on corporate businesses. There were already a number of different ways businesses could get tax exemptions and so on, but now to officiate it. So we've gone from money being distributed throughout the society, regardless of what your status is, to being sucked out of the society and given into the hands of just the 1% or the few. This is what has been happening. And the federal government has been an instrument in doing that over the last couple of decades or so. Now, there are a lot of lies out here in this world. I was listening to people talk about how brilliant Elon is, how he founded Tesla, built it up from the ground up. No, Tesla was actually founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. And Musk joined their company as an investor, which helped them to actualize their goal of getting the first Tesla car into production. That's what a lot of people don't know. Now, Musk kind of took over the company, and I guess it was sold off, Mark and Tarpenning sold off the company to Elon, and then they had shares in the company, which they still have to this day. So anybody telling you that Elon's this brilliant mind, people talk about Elon getting credit for SpaceX as well, and that's another story in and of itself. There's a lot of things that are going on. What people need to realize is there are also well-known investment firms like Vanguard Group and BlackRock, which also hold significant stakes in Tesla. You'll hear this name BlackRock everywhere, and Vanguard Group. They're both CEO'd by American Israeli Jews. Okay? BlackRock has its hands in everything now. It's in properties. It's all over the place. Vanguard Group as well. Vanguard Group has been around for a long time, though. But nonetheless, these two groups have been buying up every single piece of investor real estate they can find. And why this is scary is because you see it in Hollywood. Vanguard Group and BlackRock is behind Netflix. It's behind Warner Brothers. But Warner Brothers was always a Jewish formed group. Netflix, not so much, but they're there. They're investors in those companies. They're investors. I'm not sure for Universal. I have to check Comcast to see. I wouldn't be surprised if they're somewhere in the background there. Disney, I'm sure they're there. Absolutely have to be there for Disney. Disney, again, was a Jewish guy. So without going too far into what I need to say today, let me get to it. It's good. When I see these things, these are good signs. Noctis Draven, who's had military service, he said this, and this is a post on, obviously, Twitter. He said, "This post is not to pick on you or target you. I'm using it because it's where my mindset was for so long, and a great example. You're only disappointed because you expect greedy, rich men to honor their word. Remember, most of the people on Capitol Hill don't come from nothingness. They don't even come from the middle class. They were always rich. So you don't have somebody, you may have somebody like AOC who's been bought out, and Bernie Sanders, who was always rich. He built his riches, but nonetheless, You have Bernie Sanders, you have OAC, you see them starting to chirp in the background. But OAC has already been compromised, and so has Bernie. Bernie kind of disappointed me. And even though they're I think they're running independently right now. I don't know if they're running on a Democratic platform, but the point is, regardless, it's good to have somebody like that in mainstream, but the question is, are they compromised? Are they compromised? Okay. Now, Biden did do a couple of things that Bernie requested. He tried to fulfill his obligations with respect to free schooling and stuff like that. But honestly speaking, uh, I like what Noctis Draven's about to say, because I think a lot of us have been tricked. We've been conned. And I'm going to show you. And I said it all along. You have the power. And that's what this title of this stream is. You have the power. And I want to show you how. Okay? If you permit me. So you're only disappointed because you expect greedy rich men to honor their word. All our lives, we've been told that politicians are shit. All our lives, we see the jokes. We see the comedy around it. It's so well known that we laugh and mock it, knowing politicians are crooked and corrupt. Yet we are surprised when they act the exact way we know they will, as if the stereotypes exist for nothing. We are the problem. You, me, us. All the signs are there. All the warnings are there. The history and examples. And still we fall for it and continue this insane cycle. Can we really blame the politicians? At what point are we willfully stupid? The truth is, the politician isn't there for you. The politician does not show up for you at your shift at work. The politician doesn't handle your bills, your life, your day-to-day existence. The politician doesn't raise your children, attend school for you, work the job, shift, overtime, and struggle. They do nothing at all. If every politician vanished tomorrow, the world would not stop. It wouldn't even notice, if I'm honest. But every electrician, every sailor, every fisherman, every farmer, every factory worker, every welder, every oiler, every miner, every carpenter, every trucker, every mason were to vanish tomorrow, the world will literally end. Let me stop there. Pause. This is called workforce power. I've been saying it. I said it last night in a stream, and this brother catch wind of the spirit of it, and he's now starting to speak the truth. Now we need to talk. Now we can have a conversation. The federal government. We don't need a federal government. I've said that several million different times. We don't need a localized central government in my country either. The people get along just fine without a central government. We need a judicial system to prosecute criminals and have a law, but we don't need a centralized government. My country would do so much better. People would be so much well off, so much more wealthy if the money just streamed through the treasury and was dispersed to the people in shares. And people owned shares, just like the unit trust. And there was a trust, and the money, the revenue that comes from the external companies, from drilling, from selling products, siphoned through the treasury with transparency, and then is disseminated to the people. That's simple. What does a country need to run by? It needs laws, and it needs income to run, right? Whatever monies need to go, it would automatically go to state enterprises that need to get it. In other words, we would have an electronic system. The electronic system is what's processing all these things by default. We don't need a government. We don't need a central government. We need localized governments, which will collect those monies. And since we're dealing with people, we need to have checks and balances to make sure they don't pocket that money. And all the monies are dispersed on time because it's an automated system. The funds are distributed to the people. People can get these funds in the terms of bonds. So it's an investment fund that's automatically pumped into the stock exchange. That's how it should be done. We don't need a centralized government. And I agree with also my brother here, who's come to this realization that the United States doesn't need a federal government. You see, a federal government is supposed to unite all the states together. It's not supposed to govern them. It's supposed to be the glue and the consensus among the states on what is happening. That's what the representation in DC is all about. And if the representation doesn't represent the people, we don't need the federal government. The whole point behind the federal government was to attend to the needs of the states. So he's absolutely correct. There's another brother who talked about that on X, disbanding the federal government. It makes sense. We're paying, all of America is paying tax. You guys don't need to pay income tax. You shouldn't be paying income tax. Income tax is, the monies go to fuel war. That extra money. In my country, we have purchasing tax, we have land tax, they tax us on everything. But where is that money going to? Why is it only at certain times, like election year, all of a sudden everything starts to operate properly again? Because people are not stealing, they need to pump some of that money into the society to make the society look good, as if everything's okay. All of a sudden, crime is not this big issue. Now you start to clamp down on crime. So you could do all these things while you had your tenure of 5 years, 10 years. All of a sudden, as soon as you get elected to office, you start looking for ways to steal. And all of a sudden, all these things are slacked off. Your responsibilities you're supposed to be doing, you're not doing. And the things you're not supposed to be doing, you're doing. That's the politician. And that is why, if you can minimize how many politicians you have to deal with in a country and let the country run on its own. A country that runs without a established set of people representing them at the central level is probably a country that runs better than most, because you will find hegemony doesn't work because it can be corrupted. The less people who have power in their hands, the more corrupted it can become, because there's no accountability, nobody to really check on them to see how transparent things are. You have an automated system that can disseminate the stuff automatically, only being adjusted when necessary through certain checks and balances and votes through the localized governments, etc. You have a much more airtight system unless it's hacked into. And you don't have to worry about the standard stuff that's supposed to be running every single day. We don't need people to do that. We don't need people to organize payrolls and paychecks. Machines can do that. We don't need people for certain standard service things like payment of bills and so on. Machines can do that. So you can kind of bypass the corrupt things that can happen. We don't need people to check other people coming into the country or going out of the country now. We have machines to do that. We have machines that can do that, and they're impartial. Once the machines do it, say somebody's caught carrying drugs into the country, whatever, then human beings are supposed to arrest them. We won't have machines do that. Okay? And it's very important. So the level of corruption now has to go to the what shall we say, cyber level. But if you have self-contained systems, that is to say, systems that are not going online, it can spread information online, but the system itself functions offline in its own network. Then you can easily deal with those situations. So what keeps a country afloat is the people, the mass, usually the working class, because the entrepreneurs depend on the working class for purchases and for labor. The governments of the countries depend on the working class for taxes, through goods and services, through property tax, etc. Okay? And in exchange for that, they try to provide more revenue, employment, etc. Grants, loans, whatever. Okay? So in short, your country, whether it's business we're talking about, whether it's governance, is dependent on you. So Noctis Draven just knocked down what I had been saying for this past week, that the U.S. government needs you more then you need the U.S. government. You don't need them. You're the one that vote them in. You don't need them. Okay, let's keep it moving. My friend, by God Almighty, I beg you to realize you do not need these people. That is true. They're beneath us. They're nothing. Yet we place our entire lives and futures in their hands. Listen to me. Read this twice and understand that I'm telling you the truth. And that's a guy who was talking about Donald Trump and how he will, betray the Zionists and blah, 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 blah. He's holding out hope. And it's time we stop hoping in governments and regimes and people to lead us. They failed us. They failed us multiple times. It's time for us to coordinate among ourselves and point ourselves in the direction we want to go. We don't need them. I responded to this post right here. I said, I'm glad you finally said it. You have the power. You delegated it to politicians who are abusing it. Take it back. How? Stop purchasing from big businesses. Buy local products from small mom and pops businesses. Withdraw your labor for wages, strike, and shut down the country. Help one another, I should have added. Help one another. If somebody's in a pinch, be your neighbor's keeper. Look out for each other now. When somebody's in hard times and they can't make ends meet, lend them something. We were neighborly once upon a time, and the federal government managed to somehow get us Gestapo looking at one another and calling in like Karens to deport others, to get others arrested, to get others abused, sometimes even killed. We've turned on one another, and this was engineered by those oligarchs at the top. They separated us into red and blue, Democrat and Republican. In my country, they separated us from the UNC and the PNM. It's bullshit. It's all a way of leveraging power over the people without them knowing, always blaming the other guy. But things still continue to get worse and worse. How's that? As Sting said, I don't believe in the politicians. They're all like game show hosts to me. And that's exactly what they do. So if I were you, and if I were the people of the world right now, I don't care what country you live in, I want you to understand something and get this through your head as hard as you can. You don't need the governments that govern you. You have a good sense of order and structure, and there are laws in place. The judiciary will need to be there, obviously. But other than that, nothing else needs to be there. You don't need parliament. You don't need Congress. You already, it's a redundant thing. You already have Supreme Courts. You already have Congresses in the individual states. You already have people that govern you in your individual states. In my country, we already have local government. A local government can do so much more for the people than the centralized government can. The centralized government actually is bulky and a waste of fucking time. Not to mention our Constitution is so out of date, it's not funny. It's time for people to snap into reality and to deal with their everyday lives and have people in their lives that can impact their everyday lives in a positive way. Again, let me repeat what needs to happen. Stop investing in big businesses, which suck your money and don't give you back anything. Invest in businesses within your localized area who care about you and can help you and do deals and profits in business with you. Look for the smaller businesses and try to support them, because when they get bigger, hopefully they'll treat you as they ought to treat customers. Secondly, if you work on a job, it's time to have a global strike where everyone, in solidarity with any working person, immediately starts striking. Your demands are simple. 1, you cannot strike down Social Security. People need it. If you're going to strike down Social Security, you need to replace it with something that's better. 2, Raise the minimum wage. 3, freedom of speech. Release Mahmoud Khalil and the other people you have abducted in the night. And bring back the deportees that were deported to Venezuela. Stop the wars outside of the United States. Shut down all wars. We don't give a fuck what you say. Our tax money, our payments, shut it down. All wars. Get out of them. Don't be involved. Don't sell any arms to any country. I know you're a military complex country. Don't sell arms to any country that is in violation of international as well as American law. Cease it immediately. Otherwise, you'll have no country to run. We'll shut down your country. We'll stop working. We'll start striking. We'll live. We'll take the resources of each other. We'll invest in small businesses, the mom and pops businesses. We'll borrow loans from our local credit unions and banks. And we'll say, fuck you, and we won't work. We won't give you nothing. And this is going to be a global shutdown. People who are not unionized, they don't give a fuck. They're going to shut down with us. Everybody's going to shut the fucking place down. We will give you 48 hours after shutting down everything. We are willing to go for as far as 3 months. The people in Gaza are under a blockade. Remove the blockade. Remove the, occupation. Now, we're done talking. If you want any of our labor, if you want any of our expertise, if you want any jobs to be happening and working in America, if you want any kind of purchasing into your companies, we're boycotting all your companies. Fuck all their companies. All the big businesses, fuck all of them. Walmart, everybody. Because in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure they're associated with Israel. Fuck Google. We're going to use Firefox, and we'll use some other search engine, maybe Search Joe or something. Fuck all that. We'll shut everything down. Fuck Netflix. Fuck Microsoft. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck all your entertainment, all your sports games. If you find a sponsors associated, we're not going to no games. We're not going to no entertainment. We ain't doing shit with you until you listen to our demands, and our demands are simple. America first. Take care of home first, and then you can try and take care of other things outside. Furthermore, Donald Trump, we need legal cases against Donald Trump for the things he has done, from abducting illegally people from their homes. Make sure he and his cronies who were involved in that are all in the courts dealing with that issue, the criminal matter as well as domestic issues. If you start bringing out militarized force against the people, understand some of those military people, if they don't understand what's going on, your military may just coup against you. They may turn against you and overthrow you. And then we will be under military rule. In the meantime, the people will be conducting their local affairs. Like I said before, don't play games. I'm telling you, the military doesn't like what's going on. Even the generals in the military who advise Donald Trump right now, they don't like what's going on. I know of some very great big time military generals who do not like what is going on, and they've been speaking out about it. If you think the military is going to back you, you may have to get those private mercenaries and private corporations to take on the military. And I'm telling you right now, the military will back us. You will not get any military support when you're looking for it. There will be no Adolf Hitler. There will be no Nazi Germany in the United States of America. That isn't how it's going to go down. And the people are coming for you now. All you politicians, all you corrupt politicians, trying to muzzle the people because we've gotten on to you. We know it now. Everything's in the open. It's all exposed. And we're coming for you. You think you can't, the people, the voice of the people, the voice of God, it's been said. You didn't understand. You're going to have to back down. Y'all need to pay attention. You're not going to disrupt this movement. It's only going to get stronger. We've seen what the civil rights movement had to go through. We've seen people get assassinated. We've seen people get taken out. You think we're stupid now? You think you can just pull that same ruse on us? Oh, hell no. It ain't gonna go down like that. And we don't trust you. All of you are traitors to the American people. There are a few exceptions. One is Thomas Massie. He's not a traitor. If I could elect him as president tomorrow, I would. Along with Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. They are real people. Also, that girl from Minnesota, what's her name? Is it Minnesota or Milwaukee? I forgot her name. From Somalia, I think she's from, or Sudan. I can't remember. I would elect them tomorrow. I wouldn't bat an eye to elect them. Then I'd have Claudia de la Cruz up in that government. I would have Jill Stein up in that government. I would have Cornel West up in that government. I would have what's that guy's name? Fearless motherfucker too. Stu. I would have Stu up in that government. Stu is far right wing, Christian to the bone, but I would have him there. I would have that lady, that black lady. What's her name? Name her name. I can't remember her name right now. I know, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, I would have a coalition government of people from the right and from the left. And the independents. That would be the American government. And we know they would focus on the people. They would rescind all those wars. They'd get out of all those territories. They would draw troops from the Middle East. So, and once upon a time, this issue of Palestine used to be limited to Arabs and Muslims. And now the whole world sees the whole thing. And people are not backing down. I remember, and you see, this came right after the COVID episode. Suddenly, COVID disappears in the background. COVID is no longer a big issue. We don't need to be vaccinated. The whole world doesn't need to be vaccinated. All of a sudden, the issue was Ukraine. And all of a sudden, the issue is not Ukraine, it's Palestine. Meanwhile, the American economy is not doing well at all. It's time people wake up, man. It's time for people to wake up. And I think they are. Noctis Draven was a military guy. That's another military guy I'm talking to. I'm telling you, the military doesn't like what's going on. They don't like it. I'm telling you. The people who profit from military wars are not the military. They're private sector people. They're private businesses like BlackRock, etc., etc., etc. The actual military itself, the military-industrial complex is a government-led, government-financed military. And that's something that a lot of people do not understand. It's just like talking about the Federal Reserve is not owned by the government. Okay, it's private bankers that own the Federal Reserve. They're in banks. The Federal Reserve is found in different banks across the country, but these banks are not even government banks. It's very important to understand. So I'm here defiantly to say that you have the purchasing power and you have the labor power still in the United States of America. It's not always going to stay that way because they're looking to automate a lot of things and get specialized labor with human beings. And the reason why a lot of you are having more oppressive conditions working is because they intend to basically remove all human beings from working and sort of put them on a social welfare kind of program and regulate them. And there's too many human beings as far as they're concerned to maintain, so they're going to try and annihilate some of you unless you guys migrate away from populated areas into some other areas and maybe start doing farmlands or agriculture or something. You have to move away from centralized cities. That's the other thing. You need to decentralize yourself. You can't be all in one place. And we know people move to different places for opportunity. But it's time, to migrate into other places, maybe other parts of Africa. There's a young man who has invented a way to harness radio waves, convert them into energy, and that's what's driving cars and stuff. And I remember my good friend, not a street away from me, Mr. Banfield, who is a sort of inventor, creator type, talking about that, harnessing these radio waves. I know a guy from Africa has actually done it. Two guys from Africa have actually done it. And this is a revolutionary technology that I hope to see become a standard thing in the world. And it's almost inexhaustible energy as well. So this young man has discovered this, and it's going to be crazy. He's located in Zimbabwe. They murdered his friend, and they're going after him. They're trying to kill him. But he's found it. He's found it. It cannot be patented in the United States. I don't know why he's trying to go in the United States and patent it. But just make sure it's in records and stuff in Zimbabwe, and poor man's copyright, and keep it moving. Okay, Robert Reich, he's the head of, he's one of the Republicans. And again, he talks things that make sense. I'm not sure why he's actually following me, but it is what it is. Fig Dimension liked what I said. We have some stuff on Richard Wolff here. Okay, so that's all I really wanted to say to you guys. It's very important to understand where you are in the world. And that I know a lot of people just want to live their lives and get along with people in their little circle and do their little routine. But you have to expand. You have to realize you're more than that. And you have to be able you have to allow yourself to disrupt the life that you have right now in this cocoon, because it's not going to be there. So you have to act now. Don't be afraid about losing your job and all those things. Your actions have to target and invalidate what politicians have been doing for decades to you and your country. They've been playing games with you. And it's time that you take back that power that you give them. These elections, we say we give them power to a mandate to rule country. But it's up to you to get what is best for you, which means you need to collectively decide, are we going to go through this all over again and have, the media do its crappy stuff and have the opposition do its crappy stuff and the government do its crappy stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just theatrics, and they've really taken your money, and you still are in the same pitiful position you always were in? If this is what you don't want to happen, then it's time for you to organize yourselves and replace them. Replace them. They're a waste of time. To be honest with you, if I could put this more blatantly, if we look around the world right now, we're seeing a lot of protests by people from unions, organizations, etc. And if we look at the governments of the country, to show you that they're not in control of the situation, they have to have riot police there to try and quell the protests. And there's always violence. And anytime you see violence happening in a protest, usually it's not the protesters' fault. It's brute force. The police is behaving like a military brute force. You remember Beijing, China, when this happened? The government wasn't in control of the situation, so they started brutally beating down the protesters. Problem with that is this. You shouldn't be beaten down at any point by any police officer. Their job is to protect and serve you. unless you've lost your damn mind and you are a harm to other individuals. Then they have to contain you. So in protests, particularly in protests, if there is a, say, a clashing body that's trying to come towards your protests, you need to have military personnel and police personnel there within you who are supporters of you, who should be the front line of defense. That is, these are people who can fight. If need to, they could detain people, they could arrest people, they could put down people, they can pacify a situation. So what you want to do is you want to have those people with you. So anything happens out of the ordinary, whether it's police overstepping their bounds and using excessive force, or whether it is counter protesters coming to try and assault the protesters that are protesting there, it's important you have a buffer. Anything happens, these people can handle the situation. They need to be integrated among you in the front lines, all right, and at the periphery of the protests, so that they're watching everything, making sure that things run smoothly, that there are limited amounts of incidents in the protest, so that it's a peaceful process. Police don't get involved. They're just watching and monitoring the situation. If there's a counter protest nearby, the protest keeps on going where it's going, but there's a buffer in between the protesters and the counter protesters to ensure that if anything starts to erupt or happen, these people can control it, maintain it, and then they can bring the police in if necessary, usher the police in. So they kind of go before the protesters to make sure they buffer the situation. You guys need to move smarter, not harder. And it's very important that you have people to protect you in such situations. Now, we know that there are surveillance techniques that the police is using, and they're gathering intel on people, and they're hunting them down individually. They're trying to take out these people, as well as they're trying to target these people in protests and take them out, pretty much. Arrest them, abduct them, whatever. So it's imperative that you guys understand the consequences of what you do, no matter what is happening, and be willing to die for what you believe. You know, I admire what Ansarallah is doing, which was Houthi started, Houthi led. They are determined to do what they're doing, and nothing. The United States bombing them, get for real. You know, it's not going to deter them from blocking the Red Sea, and they're doing what they're doing, and they're not missing a beat. They're not missing a step, and you have to give them a coup. They're showing you that your resolve is the important thing. They don't have superior weapons. You know, they're not the richest nation in the Middle East, but they're standing strong. They're standing firm. They've doubled down on what they said, and they're actually acting on what they said. And that shows a certain resolve, which U.S. troops and the United States don't have. You know, Donald Trump talked about, well, you know, we're going to wreak hell on them. Biden did that already. What are you telling me? You're not saying anything new, buddy. You know, the Houthis are impressive. And it shows me if the Houthis are behaving like that, Hamas is going to be even more difficult. Even though they're in a smaller space, they're going to be even more difficult to dislodge from that region. And I know that Israel and the United States, they're going to try and, you know, just pretty much kill off the people there. And that is why drastic action is needed by you, the people, to start defunding the federal government, to start delegitimizing the federal government and its choices and decisions. And it's important that the public outcry and the public is not behind it, that there's a strong statement sent that we're not behind this. You know, it's the same thing in my country. You know, the foolishness that the previous administration has done, or the present administration has done, we're not behind it. And I'm pretty sure the people in my country are going to vote out the present government that's there. It's going to put in the other government. But here's the thing. When people put that government in place, they already know it's history. They already know these people like to steal, cheat, and whatever. They're going to get the same 3 strikes rule that Donald Trump got. And then they're just going to tear that government apart as well. And the truth be told, no matter what these governments say, you have to look at the law and what they do. It's about the law and what they do. And that's a very important thing, right? So that's what I got for you guys. I need to get out of here. I am Christ, I am disciple. I hope you guys have a good day. Just a little Restore the Snyderverse stuff. This is not really a Restore the Snyderverse thing, but still. There's Henry Cavill in action here as CIA agent in Mission Impossible, as Galt Rivera, and as Superman.